What if a single dream could change the course of history? What if a child saw the future long before anyone else could imagine it? What if betrayal by your own family became the first step toward greatness? This is not a legend. This is not fiction. According to the Quran, this is the best of stories. It is the extraordinary story of Prophet Yusuf, a story of dreams, betrayal, patience, forgiveness, and the perfect plan of Allah. Before we begin, it is important to understand who Yusuf was. He was not an ordinary boy. He came from one of the most honored families in history. His father was Prophet Yaqub, known in English as Jacob. Yaqub was the son of Prophet Ishaq, or Isaac, and Ishaq was the son of Prophet Ibrahim. Abraham, the father of monotheism. If you haven't watched our documentary about Prophet Ibrahim, be sure to watch it after this video to discover how the story of this blessed family began. Generation after generation, Allah chose righteous men from this noble family to guide humanity. It was a family built upon faith, upon patience, upon complete trust in Allah. Among all the children of Yaqub, there was one boy who held a special place in his father's heart. His name was Yusuf. From an early age, Yusuf displayed remarkable intelligence, purity, and sincerity. Allah had chosen him for something extraordinary, but no one knew it yet, except, perhaps, one dream, one peaceful night, while the stars filled the sky. Young Yusuf saw a vision unlike anything he had ever experienced. When morning came, he rushed to his father with excitement. He said, "Oh, my father, indeed, I saw 11 stars, the sun, and the moon. I saw them prostrating before me. It was an astonishing dream, not an ordinary dream, but a vision from Allah." Yaqub immediately understood that this dream carried a great meaning. As a prophet of Allah, he recognized that his young son had witnessed something extraordinary. He looked at Yusuf with both love and concern, because Yaqub knew something his young son did not. Great blessings often attract great jealousy. He gently said, "My dear son, do not relate your dream to your brothers. Otherwise, they may plot against you. Indeed, Satan is a clear enemy to mankind." These were not the words of a fearful father. They were the words of a prophet who understood human nature. Yaqub knew that not every heart reacts to blessings with happiness. Some hearts react with envy. Among Yusuf's brothers, jealousy had already begun to grow. They noticed how deeply their father loved Yusuf and his younger brother, Benjamin. Although Yaqub loved all of his children, Yusuf's gentle character and noble manners naturally drew his father's affection. Instead of understanding this, some of the brothers allowed resentment to enter their hearts. Day after day, the feeling became stronger. They whispered among themselves. They watched Yusuf. They watched their father. Eventually, their jealousy became impossible to hide. One day, they gathered together in secret. They said, "Surely Yusuf and his brother are more beloved to our father than we are, even though we are a stronger group. Indeed, our father seems to be in clear error." Notice their words. Instead of blaming themselves, they blamed their father. Jealousy has a dangerous way of convincing people that someone else's blessing is an injustice against them. The brothers began searching for a solution. Not a good solution, but a terrible one. One brother spoke words that would change history forever. "Kill Yusuf, or cast him away to a distant land. Then your father's attention will be only ours." At that moment, a dark plan was born. A plan driven not by hatred from strangers, but by jealousy within a family. None of them realized that every step they were about to take was part of Allah's perfect plan, because sometimes the greatest blessings begin with the greatest hardships. And Yusuf's greatest trial was only beginning. The decision had been made. Jealousy had completely taken control of their hearts. The brothers no longer saw Yusuf as their younger brother. They saw him as an obstacle, someone who stood between them and their father's love. One of the brothers suggested the most terrible idea imaginable. "Kill Yusuf." The words hung in the air. Silence filled the gathering. Even among them, the idea was shocking. Another brother spoke. "Do not kill Yusuf. Instead, throw him into the bottom of a deep well. Some travelers will eventually find him and take him far away. The others agreed. In their minds, this was the perfect plan. Yusuf would disappear. Their father would stop loving him, and no one would ever know the truth. The next morning, the brothers approached Prophet Yaqub. Their voices were calm. Their smiles seemed sincere. They said, "Our father, why don't you trust us with Yusuf? We truly wish him well. Let him come with us tomorrow. He can play, enjoy himself, and we will surely protect him." Yaqub hesitated. A father's heart sensed that something was wrong. He answered, "It saddens me that you should take him away, and I fear that a wolf may eat him while you are unaware." The brothers quickly replied, "If a wolf were to eat him while we are such a strong group, then we would truly be losers." Eventually, Yaqub allowed Yusuf to go. He trusted Allah. Perhaps he hoped his fears would prove unfounded. Young Yusuf happily left with his brothers. He had no idea that the people walking beside him were hiding a terrible secret. They traveled far from home, far enough that no one could hear Yusuf's cries. When they reached an isolated place, everything changed. The kindness disappeared. The smiles vanished. The brothers surrounded Yusuf. Some grabbed him. Others pulled away his shirt. The little boy looked from one face to another, confused, afraid, heartbroken. Why were his own brothers treating him this way? Before he could understand, they carried him to the edge of a deep well. Its walls were steep. Its bottom disappeared into darkness. Yusuf pleaded with them. He called each of them by name. He reminded them that he was their brother. But jealousy had hardened their hearts. Without mercy, they lowered him into the darkness. Then they let go. The young boy fell. Down, down, into the abandoned well. The brothers looked down one last time. Then they walked away, leaving Yusuf completely alone. Imagine the silence. No father, no family, no food, no water, only darkness. Yet even in that lonely place, Allah had not abandoned him. The Quran tells us that Allah revealed to Yusuf while he was still in the well. You will one day inform them about what they have done, while they do not even realize who you are. It was a promise. The story was far from over. Allah had already planned Yusuf's future. Meanwhile, the brothers prepared the final part of their deception. They slaughtered an animal. They took Yusuf's shirt and stained it with false blood. That evening, they returned home pretending to cry. Their tears appeared real. Their voices trembled. They said, "Our father, we went racing with one another and left Yusuf with our belongings. Then a wolf came and ate him. But we know you will never believe us." They handed Yaqub the blood-stained shirt. For a moment, the old prophet looked at it carefully. Then he noticed something strange. The shirt was completely intact. Not a single tear. Not a single bite. Only blood. Yaqub immediately understood. This was no wolf. This was a lie. He quietly said, "No, your own souls have tempted you into something. So patience is most fitting. And Allah is the one whose help is sought against what you describe." Notice the incredible patience of Yaqub. He did not scream. He did not seek revenge. He placed his trust in Allah. Back at the well, night fell. Yusuf remained alone. Looking upward, he could see only a small circle of stars above him. Hours passed. Then, the sound of footsteps. A caravan was crossing the desert. The travelers stopped near the well to collect water. One of them lowered his bucket. As it descended into the darkness, something unexpected happened. The bucket became heavier. The man pulled with all his strength. When the bucket reached the top, he stepped back in amazement. Clinging to the rope was a young boy. The man shouted with excitement, "What wonderful news! Here's a boy." To the caravan, Yusuf was not a lost child. He was merchandise, an opportunity for profit. Without realizing it, the brothers' plan had succeeded. Yusuf was about to be taken hundreds of miles away, to a land he had never seen, a land called Egypt. The journey that began inside a dark well was leading him toward a destiny that only Allah knew. The caravan continued its journey across the desert. For young Yusuf, everything familiar had disappeared. His home, his father, his brother, everything had been left behind. He did not know where he was going, but Allah did. The traders eventually arrived in Egypt, one of the greatest civilizations on earth, a land filled with magnificent palaces, bustling markets, and powerful rulers. To the merchants, Yusuf was not a child separated from his family. He was simply a slave to be sold. The Quran tells us that they sold him for only a few silver coins, a very small price. They had no idea of his true value. How often does the world underestimate those whom Allah has chosen? Among the buyers was one of the most important officials in Egypt. The Quran refers to him as Al-Aziz, a man of great authority and influence. When he saw Yusuf, he noticed something different. There was dignity in the boy's face, honesty in his eyes, wisdom beyond his years. He turned to his wife and said, "Treat him honorably. Perhaps he will benefit us, or perhaps we may adopt him as a son." Without realizing it, Allah was preparing Yusuf for a future no one could imagine. Years passed. The frightened child who had once been thrown into a well grew into a remarkable young man. The Quran says, when he reached maturity, we granted him wisdom and knowledge. Thus do we reward those who do good. Yusuf became known throughout Egypt for his character. He was truthful, trustworthy, kind, wise, and exceptionally handsome. His beauty became known across the city. But with great blessings often come great tests. The wife of Al-Aziz watched Yusuf grow into adulthood. Instead of respecting him, she allowed forbidden desire to enter her heart. One day, when they were alone inside the palace, she locked every door, one after another. There would be no witnesses, no escape. She turned toward Yusuf and said, "Come to me." Imagine the situation. Yusuf was young, far from his family, living inside another man's home. Refusing her could cost him everything. But Yusuf feared Allah more than he feared people. Immediately he stepped back. He answered, "I seek refuge in Allah. Indeed, your husband has treated me with honor. Surely, the wrongdoers never succeed." The temptation was real. The Quran makes it clear that this was a genuine test. But Allah protected his prophet. Yusuf turned and ran toward the exit. She chased after him. Just as he reached the door, she grabbed his shirt from behind. The fabric tore. At that exact moment, the door opened. Standing before them was her husband. Silence filled the room. She realized she had been discovered. Without hesitation, she lied. She pointed at Yusuf and cried, "What should be the punishment for someone who intended evil toward your wife? Surely he should be imprisoned or severely punished." Yusuf calmly spoke the truth. "It was she who tried to seduce me." One accusation, one denial, no witnesses, no evidence. Then, Allah caused an unexpected witness to appear. A member of her own household proposed a simple test. If Yusuf's shirt is torn from the front, then she is telling the truth. But if his shirt is torn from the back, then she is lying, and Yusuf is truthful. Everyone looked toward the shirt. It was torn from the back. The evidence was undeniable. Yusuf had been running away, not toward her, but away from her. Al-Aziz immediately realized what had happened. He turned to his wife and said, "Indeed, this is from the plotting of women. Your plotting is truly great." Then he turned to Yusuf. "Forget about this." And to his wife he said, "Ask forgiveness for your sin. Indeed, you were among those who were wrong." One might think the story would end there, but secrets rarely remain hidden. Soon, the women of the city began whispering, "The wife of Al-Aziz is trying to seduce her own servant. She has fallen deeply in love with him. We think she has clearly gone astray." Their gossip spread throughout Egypt. When the wife of Al-Aziz heard what they were saying, she decided to prove something. She invited the noble women of the city to a grand banquet. Elegant cushions were prepared. Beautiful fruit was placed before every guest. Each woman was given a sharp knife. As they began cutting the fruit, she quietly called Yusuf to enter the room. The moment they saw him, everything stopped. The women stared in complete amazement. His appearance was so striking that they became distracted. Without realizing it, they cut their own hands with the knives. They felt no pain. They exclaimed, "Glory be to Allah. This is not an ordinary man. This can only be a noble angel." The wife of Al-Aziz looked at them and said, "This is the man for whom you blamed me. I did try to seduce him, but he remained pure. And if he does not do what I command, he will surely be imprisoned." Imagine the pressure surrounding Yusuf. His innocence had become known, yet the temptation continued. The threats became stronger. The palace had become a prison long before any chains were placed upon him. Yusuf raised his hands to Allah and made one of the most beautiful prayers in the Quran. My Lord, prison is dearer to me than what they invite me toward. If you do not turn their plot away from me, I may be inclined toward them and become among the ignorant. Allah answered his prayer, but the answer came in a way no one expected. Instead of immediate freedom, Yusuf was about to enter a prison, because sometimes Allah prepares his greatest servants inside their darkest moments. The heavy prison doors closed behind Yusuf. The sound echoed through the cold stone walls. To many, prison would have meant the end of hope. But for Yusuf, it was another step in Allah's perfect plan. He had done nothing wrong. He had betrayed no one. He had committed no crime. Yet he found himself behind bars. Still, he never complained. He never lost faith, because Yusuf understood something few people ever truly understand. Sometimes, the place that appears to be your greatest setback is actually where Allah prepares your greatest success. Inside the prison, Yusuf quickly became known for his honesty, his kindness, his wisdom, and his unwavering faith. The prisoners respected him. Even those who did not share his beliefs could see that there was something extraordinary about him. One day, two new prisoners entered the prison. One had served as the king's cupbearer. The other had worked as the royal baker. Both men had seen strange dreams, dreams they could not understand. They turned to Yusuf, not because he claimed to know the unseen, but because they trusted his character. One of them said, I dreamed that I was pressing grapes to make wine. The other said, I dreamed that I was carrying bread on my head, and birds were eating from it. Then they said, Tell us their meaning. Indeed, we see that you are among those who do good. Yusuf smiled, but before explaining the dreams, he seized the opportunity to teach something far greater. He did not begin with dream interpretation. He began with faith. He said, The food that is provided for you each day will not arrive before I inform you about it. This knowledge is from what my Lord has taught me. Then he continued, I have abandoned the religion of people who do not believe in Allah, and I follow the religion of my forefathers, Ibrahim, Ishaq, and Yaqub. Even inside a prison, Yusuf continued calling people to the worship of Allah alone. Then he asked them a question that still echoes through history. Are many different gods better, or Allah, the One, the Almighty? The prison became a place of guidance. Yusuf reminded them that idols possess no power, that all authority belongs to Allah alone. Only after delivering the message of monotheism did he explain their dreams. To the first man, he said, You will return to serving wine to your king. Then he turned to the second. You will be executed, and birds will eat from your head, exactly as Allah had shown him. Before the cupbearer left the prison, Yusuf asked him, Remember me before your king. But Satan caused the man to forget. Days became months. Months became years. Yusuf remained in prison, patient, faithful, never losing hope. Then one night, the king of Egypt experienced a dream unlike any he had ever seen. When morning came, he gathered his advisors. He said, I have seen 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 thin cows, and 7 green ears of grain, along with 7 dry ones. Tell me the meaning of this dream, if you are able. The advisors looked at one another. None of them knew the answer. They replied, These are nothing more than confused dreams. We do not know how to interpret them. Suddenly, the former cupbearer remembered. After all those years, he remembered Yusuf. He said, I know someone who can explain this. He hurried to the prison. Standing before Yusuf once again, he said, O Yusuf, the truthful one, explain to us the meaning of this dream. Without hesitation, Yusuf interpreted the vision. He said, For 7 years, you will harvest abundant crops. Store most of what you harvest. Leave the grain in its ears to preserve it. Then 7 years of severe famine will come. The stored grain will feed the people during those difficult years. After that, a year will come in which rain will return, and the people will once again enjoy prosperity. It was far more than a dream interpretation. It was a complete economic strategy, a plan that would save an entire nation. When the king heard Yusuf's explanation, he was astonished. Immediately he ordered, "Bring this man to me." The prison doors were finally about to open, but Yusuf made an unexpected request. He refused to leave, not until the truth was known. He said, "Return to your king, and ask him about the women who cut their hands. Indeed, my lord knows their plot." Yusuf had waited for years. He could wait a little longer. Freedom meant nothing if his honor remained questioned. He wanted the truth to be known before stepping outside the prison. The king summoned the women. He asked them, "What happened when you tried to seduce Yusuf?" This time, no one could hide the truth. The women answered, "Allah forbid. We know nothing against him." Then the wife of Al-Aziz finally stood up. She confessed before everyone. "Now the truth has become clear. It was I who tried to seduce him. And indeed, he is among the truthful." After years of false accusations, years of imprisonment, years of patience, Allah cleared Yusuf's name before the entire kingdom. His innocence was no longer a secret. It had become the truth acknowledged by all. The man who entered prison as an accused servant was about to leave it as the most trusted man in Egypt. After years of patience, the prison gates finally opened. Yusuf walked into the sunlight once again, but he was no longer the forgotten prisoner. His wisdom had reached the palace. His honesty had reached the king, and his innocence had become known throughout Egypt. The king welcomed Yusuf with honor. After hearing his explanation of the dream, he realized he was standing before an extraordinary man, not only someone who could interpret dreams, but a leader with wisdom, vision, and integrity. The king said, "Bring him to me. From this day forward, he will have an honored place in my court." Standing before the ruler of Egypt, Yusuf made an unexpected request. He did not ask for wealth. He did not ask for luxury. He asked for responsibility. He said, "Appoint me over the storehouses of the land. Indeed, I am a knowledgeable guardian." Yusuf understood the years that lay ahead. He knew famine was coming. He knew millions of lives would depend upon careful planning. The king accepted his request. From a prisoner, Yusuf became the guardian of Egypt's treasury, one of the most powerful positions in the kingdom. Then the years of abundance began. For 7 years, the Nile produced generous harvests. The fields overflowed with grain. The people celebrated. But while everyone enjoyed prosperity, Yusuf was preparing for the future. He ordered grain to be carefully stored. Storehouses were built across the land. Every harvest was protected. Many people questioned his decisions. Why save so much when food was everywhere? Only Yusuf knew what Allah had revealed. Then, exactly as the dream had foretold, the famine arrived. The rain became scarce. The fields dried. Crops failed. Hunger spread across the region. One nation after another searched desperately for food. But Egypt was prepared, because Allah had guided Yusuf. People traveled from distant lands hoping to buy grain. Among those travelers were 10 men, the brothers of Yusuf. Many years had passed since they threw him into the well. Time had changed their faces, but Yusuf recognized them immediately. The moment they entered his court, he knew exactly who they were. His own brothers, the men who had betrayed him, the men who had sold him into slavery. Yet they had no idea who stood before them. To them, Yusuf had disappeared forever. How could the frightened little boy from the well become the powerful minister of Egypt? They could never imagine such a thing. Yusuf welcomed them with dignity. He listened as they explained that famine had reached their homeland. They needed grain for their families. As they spoke, Yusuf noticed that one brother was missing. He asked, "Do you have another brother?" They replied, "Yes. Our father has one younger son who remained behind with him. Benjamin, Yusuf's younger brother, the only brother who had never betrayed him." Yusuf's heart filled with emotion. He longed to see him again. Before the brothers departed, Yusuf gave them all the grain they had requested. Then he made one condition. "If you return again, bring your younger brother with you. Otherwise, you will receive no more grain." The brothers promised they would try. Secretly, Yusuf gave another command to his servants. Without the brothers knowing, he ordered that the money they had paid for the grain be placed back inside their bags. He wanted them to discover it only after reaching home. Perhaps they would be encouraged to return. After many days of travel, the brothers finally arrived back in Canaan. Their father, Yaqub, eagerly awaited them. They explained everything. The ruler of Egypt honored us, but he insists that next time we must bring Benjamin. Otherwise, we will receive no more food. Then, as they opened their bags, they were astonished. Every coin they had paid had been returned. They said, "Our father, what more could we ask? Our payment has been returned to us. If you allow Benjamin to come with us, we can bring back even more provisions for our family." Yaqub immediately remembered Yusuf. Years earlier, he had trusted these same sons. Years earlier, he had lost the child he loved. His heart was still wounded. He answered, "Should I trust you with him, as I once trusted you with his brother?" Silence filled the room. The brothers lowered their heads. They knew exactly what their father meant. Eventually, their promises became stronger. They swore before Allah that they would protect Benjamin. Only then did Yaqub reluctantly agree. But before they departed, he gave them one final piece of advice. "My sons, do not enter Egypt through one gate. Enter through different gates. Yet know that no plan can prevent what Allah has already decreed. In Allah I place my trust, and upon him let all who trust place their trust." The brothers set out once again. This time, Benjamin walked beside them, completely unaware that he was about to meet the brother he believed had died many years before. And Yusuf was waiting. The brothers entered Egypt once again. This time, Benjamin walked beside them, the younger brother whom Yusuf had missed for so many years. When Yusuf finally met him, he embraced him in private. Then he revealed the secret that had remained hidden for decades. He said, "Indeed, I am your brother, so do not grieve over what they used to do." Imagine Benjamin's emotions. The brother he believed was gone forever was standing before him, alive, honored, powerful. Yet Yusuf asked him to remain patient. The time for revealing the truth had not yet come. Allah's plan was still unfolding. After supplying his brothers with grain, Yusuf prepared the next step. By Allah's wisdom, the king's measuring cup was secretly placed inside Benjamin's bag. As the caravan prepared to leave Egypt, a royal caller shouted, "Stop! You are accused of stealing the king's cup." The brothers were shocked. They had done nothing wrong. The guards searched every bag, one after another, until they reached Benjamin. The cup was found. Silence filled the air. The brothers could not believe what they were seeing. According to the law of their own people, the punishment for theft was that the guilty person would remain behind, exactly as Allah had planned. Yusuf was now able to keep his younger brother with him. The brothers pleaded, "Umaychihulir, he has an elderly father. Take one of us instead. We see that you are among the righteous." But Yusuf answered with justice, "We seek refuge in Allah from taking anyone except the one with whom we found our property. Otherwise, we would truly be unjust." The brothers had no choice. One by one, they accepted reality. But the eldest brother refused to return home. He said, "I will never leave this land until my father permits me, or Allah judges for me." The others began the long journey back to Canaan. When they arrived, they stood before Yaqub once again. Their father looked into their faces. He knew immediately that something was wrong. They explained everything. They told him that Benjamin had remained behind in Egypt. The old prophet lowered his head. Then he quietly said, "No, your souls have tempted you into something once again. So beautiful patience is my only response. Perhaps Allah will return them all to me. Indeed, he is the all-knowing, the all-wise." The pain of losing Yusuf had never left him. Now, he had lost Benjamin as well. His sorrow became so great that the Qur'an tells us, his eyes turned white with grief. He had cried until he lost his sight. Yet, his faith never weakened. Every day, he repeated the same words. "I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah, and I know from Allah what you do not know." Then he turned to his sons. "My sons, return, search for Yusuf and his brother, and never lose hope in the mercy of Allah. Indeed, no one loses hope in Allah's mercy except those who disbelieve." Those words changed everything. The brothers returned to Egypt one final time. They stood once again before Yusuf. This time, they came not as wealthy men, not as proud brothers, but as desperate people seeking mercy. They said, "Unalbul wulir." Hardship has touched us and our family. We have come with only a small payment. Please give us full measure and be charitable toward us. Indeed, Allah rewards those who are charitable. Yusuf looked at them. Years of separation, years of pain, years of patience, all had led to this moment. He gently asked, "Do you remember what you did to Yusuf and his brother? When you were ignorant?" The brothers looked carefully at his face. Something suddenly became familiar. One of them whispered, "Could it be?" Then they asked, "Are you, indeed, Yusuf?" He smiled and answered, "I am Yusuf, and this is my brother. Allah has certainly been gracious to us. Indeed, whoever fears Allah and remains patient, Allah never allows the reward of those who do good to be lost." The brothers were overwhelmed. Their hearts broke with regret. They said, "By Allah, Allah has truly preferred you over us. We were certainly among those who were wrong." This was Yusuf's moment. He had every opportunity to seek revenge. He possessed power, authority. The men before him had destroyed his childhood. They had thrown him into a well, sold him into slavery, separated him from his father for decades. But Yusuf chose something greater than revenge. He chose forgiveness. He said words that continue to inspire millions of people today. "No blame will there be upon you today. May Allah forgive you. He is the most merciful of those who show mercy." Those words healed wounds that had lasted for decades. Then Yusuf gave them his own shirt. He said, "Take this shirt of mine. Place it over my father's face. His sight will return. Then bring your entire family to me." The brothers hurried home. As the caravan approached, Yaqub said, "I can smell the scent of Yusuf. Even if you think I have lost my mind." The people around him could not understand. But a father's heart recognized what others could not. When Yusuf's shirt was placed over Yaqub's face, by Allah's permission, his eyesight returned immediately. The family wept with joy. Yaqub thanked Allah for fulfilling his promise. Soon afterward, the entire family traveled to Egypt. When they entered Yusuf's palace, he welcomed them with love. He embraced his parents. He honored his brothers. Then, the moment finally arrived. His parents and brothers bowed before him in respect, according to the custom of that time. At that instant, Yusuf remembered the dream he had seen as a child. The 11 stars, the sun, and the moon. Everything had come true. He turned to his father and said, "My father, this is the fulfillment of my dream from long ago. My Lord has made it a reality." Then Yusuf raised his hands in gratitude. He prayed, "My Lord, you have granted me authority. You have taught me the interpretation of dreams. Creator of the heavens and the earth, you are my protector in this world and in the hereafter. Cause me to die as one who submits to you, and join me with the righteous." The story of Yusuf is not merely about dreams. It is about patience. It is about trusting Allah when life makes no sense. A well became the path to a palace. Slavery became the road to leadership. Prison became the doorway to honor. Every hardship carried a hidden mercy. Every delay carried divine wisdom. Every trial brought Yusuf closer to the destiny Allah had written for him. Sometimes, the greatest blessings arrive through the greatest difficulties. And sometimes, what appears to be the end of your story is only the beginning of Allah's perfect plan. This is why Allah described the story of Yusuf as the best of stories, the end.